stopwatch. Hit the floor running, pick a topic, let's go.
Pick the topic, pick up the phone. Okay, let's go here to Ramon. He goes, breaking news. Padres agree to free agent deal with catcher Martin Maldonado per Dennis Lynn.
Good guy. Backup catcher, lots of places, mostly with Houston. Good glove. No bat. So he was probably a very affordable catcher to help as an insurance policy with Luis Campusano. That's okay. That doesn't solve all the other issues the Padres have vis-a-vis payroll, vis-a-vis need for another frontline starting pitcher, vis-a-vis on the clock waiting for Roki Sasaki. But Maldonado has played lots of places, and he's been on and off rosters, but he can play with a glove in his hand.
I'm just wondering if the Padres are going to have Ethan Salas up sometime this year. I mean, they kind of force-fed Tatis, and that worked out really well. So, now they at least have an answer to the question for Roki Sasaki, who are you going to pitch to? So that Maldonado is a reputable dude.
I don't think they're giving up on Campusano. He did do well when he went to El Paso, but they never brought him back. We'll see if Campusano takes a step forward. This might be his last year in the organization, though, unless he becomes a proven commodity. And proven commodity is defensively, he's got to be better because he was one of the poorer rated defensive catches in Major League Baseball. His pass ball stuff and inability to throw guys out, we never guessed that because he had moved through the system very quickly. And to answer your question, yeah, maybe by midseason, towards the end of the season, we're going to see at Salas. But Salas has to prove that he can hit. He only hit 205 at AA. And if you're not hitting 205 at AA, you're not going to hit in the major leagues. And do you want to have a catcher hitting 118, even though his defensive skills at the major league level are good? So it might be a bit of a reach to push him from AA all the way to Major League Baseball. Just to have to see how he does. I would assume he starts at AAA El Paso this year.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. But, the price is right, as far as making that payroll work with a young kid like Salas.
On we go. Next one.
Okay, let's go here to Force Ghost Fabi. He goes, Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft. Don't hit us with can't find a quarterback in the bottom of the first round. Marino was the 27th pick also.
Yeah, well, he's talking about this Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger was not a first-round pick. He came from Miami of Ohio. It turned out to be a hell of a project and became a hell of a quarterback. You can find guys, but some years the list of quarterbacks is really deep, and you can find a good one in the second round or the third round, or in this unique case, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. But that happens few and far between. And if you go back, if you just go year by year, just go through NFL draft on Google, NFL draft list, and just go back the last 10 years, just in the first round, and just make a list of how many quarterbacks were taken in the first round. And I bet only 30% of them became established guys who could be successful in the NFL. The fatality rate it's really, really hard.
But, it all proves out at the end because you look at the teams that are still alive right now, every one of them's got a great quarterback. And some of them have been great for many years.
And some of them got great by going other places. This Jared Goff evolution, to me, is just absolutely staggering.
Yeah, unbelievable. So, yeah, you got to find a quarterback. Okay, moving on. Okay, now these are the people that give me a crap about that Oilers sweatshirt. I'm going to bring up a few of them. Here's one from Gary, LA Kings fan here. Can you please get rid of that awful Oilers hoodie? Okay, let's get to another one here. This is from John. Looking forward to the day you put on a Washington Capitals sweater for the podcast. Then here's one from Matt. Hacksaw, where's the Winnipeg Jets gear?
Okay, for the Old Canada Network, I do have a large entourage of different gear with different labels that was given to me or I bought or I traded for. So for hockey fans and the Old Canada Network, I will wear some of the other diverse things that I have. But listen, I am not a fashion plate. I am colorblind. I am left-handed. Good looking. There's so few of us like this. Just tolerate the wardrobe because the rest of this podcast is really good. And I told John, we do sports the way it should be done.
We do. I think it's good.
And look at the way the hell he's dressed.
Well, yeah.
He violates the dress code every Monday and Thursday.
Yeah, I violate it every time. But, it's just funny the crap that you get on this podcast. Either they're complaining about your hair, your mustache, your sweatshirt, everything. But they all love you because you bring it. You bring the content that people want. That's all good.
Bring the heat, meat. Okay, yeah. Next one.
Okay, let's go here to Callan. He goes, afternoon, gents. Sad day for baseball, and for that matter, sports broadcasting. There will never be anybody like Bob Uecker. That's all we got. One goddamn hit. Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
He was pretty good in the movie Major League, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He really was. But I interviewed him twice, once at spring training and once actually, when he went off on the TV tangent, Mr. Belvedere, and he had so many stories, and he was so glib. I think that the way you can describe the end result of Bob Uecker, he lived a life that he enjoyed, and he loved it, and he was non-political, and he was all baseball, and he loved everything about it. He had an unbelievable relationship with soon-to-be Commissioner Bud Selig, and he cared a great deal about the Milwaukee Brewers. But man, he had so many stories. And I think back, and I've interviewed so many people as a sports talk show host, and he was the most unique personality. He was out there, and his quotes and the stuff that come out of his mouth, it make you laugh. It was fun.
Is there anyone like Bob Uecker in the other big sports, football, basketball, hockey, that you could compare him to?
Boy, that's a good question in terms of announcers.
But it's someone that's just like an ambassador, and it's always fun, always has something to bring.
Well, I think some of the analysts on NFL TV, but those guys change a great deal. So I don't know that they can be, quote, ambassadors, because ambassadors usually equates to length of time. You know, Bob Uecker got hired by the then Brewers to do baseball in 1971 after the franchise moved from Seattle. Used to be the Seattle Pilots. He's been doing baseball from 1971 up until this past season. So there's longevity there. So it's different than the NBA. I would say different than the NFL. In terms of NBA, I would have to say Sir Charles is an ambassador.
There you go.
Loudmouth.
That makes sense.
All that kind of stuff. In hockey, you might not have had access to him. I did, because I broadcast hockey, grew up watching him at Hockey Night in Canada. I was fascinated by the aura of Don Cherry from Hockey Night in Canada, bad jackets and all. Speaking of bad wardrobe, holy cow. But he stepped in it a couple times, and he wound up losing his job, and he's out on the periphery, no longer part of it. I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Not only was he a pretty good NHL head coach, but obviously he's an ambassador of the game. So I'd say, just off the top of my head, those are the names I mentioned about the word ambassador.
Yeah. Barkley is perfect. I mean, but because there's a lot of great announcers, but not announcers that were also players that has sort of that street cred with all the other former players. So yeah, Uecker, that he was very special. 90 years. I mean, what a great life. I'd love to have his life.
Just a bit outside.
Just a bit. Like, those guys were like, in the movie, they were like swigging whiskey during the thing when everything was going to hell.
Next one.
Good movie. Okay, here's more people piling on. They're like, here, Gene, questionable hoodie choice, Lee.
I didn't think so. I put it on. It was clean in the closet. What are you bitching about? This podcast is really good, Matt.
Please take that hoodie off, Lee. LOL. And here's another one. Boo, Oilers. Come on, Hacksaw. You know better than that. Where's the WST Jets love?
Well, I've got 2 Winnipeg Jets hoodies. I promise I will wear one of them, because, dude, they are the best in their division, and they're going to go deep in the playoffs.
Deep in the playoffs. Yeah, here's another one here from SGA. Matt, don't tell Lee to take that hoodie off. You know, everyone's fighting about what you're wearing. Okay, let's find someone else.
Imagine what somebody's going to say when I show up in a Dodger hoodie again.
Oh, that was weird. But it was good. But you have legit, like, Dodger credentials. You've been to Vero Beach. You've interviewed Vin Scully. You grew up on Long Island. So I can give you a pass for that one.
I can't give you a pass on whatever the hell you're wearing. And again, I'm colorblind. Is that charcoal? What the hell color is that?
It's hey, I'm
bad.
I'm
Bad
a wingman. I'm going to be neutral, so the focus is more on you.
When people ask me, what color is that? My answer is dark.
Yeah, it's like a dark gray. Yeah, it's all good.
Next one.
Okay, let's go here to Joey. And he goes, is Roki going to the Dodgers or the Padres?
We're on the clock. We're all waiting. I might be in the minority. I think this is win-win for either. I don't think either one loses. Whoever doesn't get Roki Sasaki, it's not fatal. Now, from the Dodgers standpoint, they have so many players. And from the Dodgers standpoint, they have such a big budget. From the Padres standpoint, they don't have the big budget, but they have the bargaining chip, because they're going to have to move somebody to get this payroll back down. And it might be a rise. And if they send, for example, if they send a rise to the Yankees and they get the young middle rotation guy, Clark Schmidt, who I thought they'd get last year, and they get Jason Dominguez, who I thought they should have traded for in the Soto deal. If they get those two, that solves a couple different problems for the Padres. Now, granted, you got a big hole in your batting order because you lose a National League batting champion, a .318 average, and a spray hitter, but you also free yourself of $14 million in commitment. So if the Padres don't get Roki, they do have a bargaining chip to go get other guys, younger guys, affordable guys, to fill the hole. I don't think it's fatal, If he goes to the Dodgers, geez, Dodgers get another frontline starting pitcher, which is already very deep.
Yeah, I mean, it would be unbelievable if we went to LA, but I think you've got to say the betting line favors that. Did you see the video of Roki Sasaki in the Padre gear throwing the ball at Petco Park? I mean, what'd you take on that?
Well, was that true or is that a one generated? I don't know.
Oh, you think it's AI? No,
AI.
yeah, I think it's probably real, but because they're all showing all the construction that's going on in the stadium at the same time. But to the other point with Luis Arise, there's a big debate online about really how valuable is he? I mean, granted, yeah, he's won the batting title. He makes contact. He puts the ball in play. He's got high batting average, but the low walks, the WAR is only around 1.0. And is he really as good as people think?
That's an awful lot of money, $14 million for a singles hitter who plays one possession, doesn't have a great glove, doesn't run the bases well, and is negligible in the power department. Normally, your first baseman hits for average and drives it out of Petco Park. This guy is very different. I don't think he's a bad citizen, although he has been traded 3 times, which I kind of think is really weird.
Mm-hmm.
But you can pay $14 million for a singles hitter when you have budgetary problems. Singles hitter going to another club might make sense if you can get the right guys back in the transaction that you can plug in. If Clark Schmidt comes from the Yankees and can be the next Michael King, that's a win-win for the Padres.
Yeah.
Granted, there'll be a hole in the middle of the batting order at the top of the leadoff spot, but we'll just see where this goes. I don't think it's a lose situation if the Padres lose Sasaki because they do have another bargaining chip. Now, I got to find somebody who wants to take on Arise's salary and Arise's limitations. I'd hate for them to have to trade Dylan Cease, though, because that's the front of your rotation.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, if we sat here on opening day and we had Darvish and we had Cease and we had Michael King and then we had Roki, yay.
Yeah, well, yeah, that'd be ideal. But going back to Luis Arise, a lot of people compare him with Tony Gwynn, but also Rod Carew.
Exactly.
Now, was Rod Carew a power hitter?
No, he was a big-time spray guy.
Yeah,
and he was a first baseman and a second baseman.
Well, so is Arise.
Exactly.
I mean, it seems like that might be a comparable
Exactly.
balance because Gwynn would show power on occasion, especially near the end of his career.
Gwynn would hit the crap out of the ball every year.
Yeah, but it seems like when he talked to Ted Williams, Ted talked about turning on the ball and driving it down the right field line.
Yeah. And he hit some home runs over the course of his career. Mm-hmm. And he ran the bases and stole bases, again, before age, and he got portly, showed up. But Arise just seems to be structured. This is all Arise does, and you can't change him. All right, next one.
Okay, let's go here to Matt. He goes, I wanted to tell Lee to throw that hoodie out. So asking him to take it off is a fair compromise, in my opinion. They're just piling on. Okay, here's another one from Four Seater. He goes, 100% concur about Bregman. Send him to Boston with Cora or Detroit with AJ Hinch.
You guys are just in grudge mode over the Houston Astros garbage can cheating scandal. That was a few curveballs ago.
That was 2017, right? That was like 7 years ago, but that was wrong. And you want to see these guys getting rewarded. I mean,
okay. You can be in grudge mode. I would say this, that I was told that Boston, one of the beat writers emailed me, and we were just comparing notes. I was told Boston approached him about, if we do this, we think you're our second baseman. And he said, right on. Now, there's limitations, because Scott Boras said earlier today, he is not signing a 3-year deal with opt-outs. He wants the full max, which is 6 years or 7 years. But it's Boston. Boston can afford big payroll. I'll tell you what, you put him in the middle of what I think is a really good. Are there any Red Sox fans from the state of New England like to join us? You look at the Boston lineup, and they force-fed all their kids, and early last season, the Red Sox were miserable. And by the end of the season, they were all hitting. And you put all these guys with now Bregman and Raf Devers, that's a pretty good batting order. And Boston's had, I think, a really good offseason in terms of pitching upgrades to go with their young pitchers.
The state of New England?
State of New England. That's like Patriot Nation.
But, even if the Red Sox added Bregman, and let's say Bregman played up to his, level of performance that you would expect, they're still behind the 8 ball with the Yankees and the Orioles and maybe not the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays keep getting screwed out of all these free agents, it seems.
It's weird that nobody wants to go play in Canada because that franchise has had great history. It's still got the 2 marquee cornerstone guys, Vlad Guerrero and the shortstop Bo Bichette. Boston's good. Boston will get better. Boston got Garrett Crochet.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm going to bring my free agent cheat list in. I'll make you a copy so you'll be fully informed, even though you're dressed like a slob.
You're telling me I dress like a slob?
Thank you. Take it in. Take a number. Stand behind me. So I think Boston's had a good season. And by the way, the state of New England, if I was doing sports talk radio, my opening phrase would be, from the nutmeg state to the pine tree state and everywhere in between, this is sports talk in New England, the way it should be done.
From
Nutmeg State, Connecticut, Pine Tree State, Maine.
Yeah, and I was thinking, what was the there's a bunch of unusually named cities there on the coast in Connecticut. Now, we can come up with a whole bunch of shtick.
We're not doing geography talk today. We got important stuff to talk about.
Okay, and here's one here from Javi, and he says, Roki will either end up being like Ohtani with Angels or play for the World Series. Up to him.
What is? It's his choice. Whoever he signs with, he's locked for 6 years. And he's affordable for 6 years. He's got developed to become a superstar. I wrote a column this week on my website, which you should read, leehacksawhamilton.com. I wrote a column, and they've come up with a nickname for him, Rocket Man 2. They say his stuff, his fastball cutter, is equal to the original Rocket Man, Roger Clemens. And if he polishes pitch 3, polishes pitch 4, he's going to be really, really good. So he's not the full product yet, but everybody's had the opinion he is going to be a great talent.
There's just so much talent just brimming here.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these other international signings are unbelievable, but I'm surprised like Roki doesn't already know who he's signing with, because it's not a lot of negotiation differences in the pay. He's done the tour. He's visited everybody. He's narrowed down the list. Let's make a decision so that whichever team gets him can now, get other free agents if they have any international pool money left.
Some teams do. Some teams are trading to get additional pool money, but there's, as I say, they're down to 3 finalists. And the Dodgers have lost the top 3 international free agents they were negotiating with, whom they told, we're not going to sign you at this point. These guys have all jumped to other teams for inflated prices. So at the end of the day, they put all their chips on the table to get Sasaki, like the Padres have. Only time will tell. I wake up at like 4:30 every morning, just out of happenstance, and I wait for ding, ding, ding on my cell phone, and because that's where I get bulletins, and I keep waiting to read about Sasaki. It's coming. It's got to happen between now and the 23rd. I think it's going to happen sooner than later. Okay, John, let's do a couple more here.
A couple more. There was one good one in here from Angel. I'm trying to find it. Where did it go? But I'm going to paraphrase for him. He said, Angel said that never mind. I'm going to blow that up. Let's go to social media, and I'll circle back, and we're going to get those comments back in. Okay, here, let's talk about the Dodgers and the Padres. And this is from Into Get Fit. Roki Sasaki isn't going to that hot mess of an organization. LA Dodgers, best organization in baseball. I remember the McCourt days and the team being in shambles for a few years.
Well, bad owner. Bad owner bankrupted the thing. Bad owner stole money from the thing. Bad owner got forced out by Major League Baseball. Bad owners never resurfaced of anything of anything of success. This is quite a well-heeled Guggenheim organization that's running this situation. So at the end of the day, and the Padres are not a hot mess. Padres have become a really good organization. Have they extended their payroll? Have they taken a gamble? Yes. Has it worked out at this point? No. But the Padres are not out of it by any stretch of the imagination, even though they're having to pare their payroll some. Unless he's talking about the Blue Jays being a hot mess. But knowing somebody from Southern California, he's just probably throwing spitballs at Padre broadcasters.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is. It is spitballs, but it is similar to that. And I remember that was a down period for the Dodgers.
Oh, dark time.
A very dark time.
Bad person.
And they still went out and signed free agents, but they were just kind of meh. Do you know who Mr. Wonderful is? Have you ever heard of that guy?
I heard the name, but
he's like on the what is it, the Shark Tank show with Mark Cuban, and he was talking about how he was partnering with Frank McCourt, assuming it's the same one, I don't know, to buy TikTok. Have you heard anything about that?
Yes.
So,
and McCourt, as a byproduct of the settlement to sell the Dodgers to Guggenheim, retained one of the portions of parking lots. And McCourt in LA is trying to build sky trams that people could park and take a sky tram into downtown LA, but it's run through a lot of political red tape. McCourt went to Europe. He bought a soccer team over there, not in the English Premier League, but in the second level, but it's not had great success. So, I mean, the scandal that he left behind and the fact that they stole money, he and his ex-wife stole all these profits and went on lifestyle binges, et cetera. Just dark moment of Dodger baseball.
Very dark moment. Okay, let's keep moving on here, and we'll get to okay, here's a good one here. This is from Al Cox. He goes, the next time Smacksaw says anything good about the Pods will be the first.
Al Cox, I think that's a really bad assessment. Do I have a right to critique the volumes of contracts that they gave out? I sure do. You're not going to sit there and tell me the James Shields contract, in which they had to pay so much money to get the White Sox to take him, was a good deal. You're not going to sit there and tell me the Hosmer investment, which is still on the books, was a good acquisition. The fact that they traded Trey Turner, the fact they made so many moves, they traded the farm system away 3 times. Last I checked, Al Cox, have you been to a World Series game in San Diego recently? No. But that being said, well-run organization, owns the community, phenomenal job making Petco Park destination point. Some really good people work there on the baseball side. I happen to like Preller. But so don't critique me that all I'm doing is taking cheap shots. I'm calling attention to the areas that have gotten them into this situation. And I have a right in the media. I'm not sure what the rest of the media does except cheerlead. You know, what the UT should have is a strong-willed columnist who's going to cite the facts and make comments on the facts. And the fact they've been to a World Series after all the promises. I understand you can build a roster. You might not get to the World Series because of injuries, etc. But Al Cox, they have put themselves in such a tight financial situation since the passing of Peter Seidler. You just have to put the topics on the table. And that's where we are right now. Because last I checked, I've not sat in a press box recently for a Padres World Series game, and you haven't sat along the first base line yet.
You know, it's funny. People give you crap about this sort of thing, that you're always harsh on the team. But do they want, I mean, do we want like a sports cheerleader group? I mean, there's already certain folks in town that are mostly cheerleaders. But I'm sitting next to you here now. We're going on 2 years. You praise the Padres. If you were calling Preller executive of the year, Mike Schilt potentially should have been manager of the year. You call out the positives, but also you like Howard Cosell. You tell it like it is.
Devil's advocate. That's my right. That's my responsibility to you, the viewers on this podcast, like it was on Sports Talk Radio. Okay, a couple more. And we have a big announcement right at the end of this podcast. Wow, it slipped through this. We should have been talking about this earlier, but I was so distracted by this bad dark-colored charcoal hoodie he was wearing.
Dark-colored hoodie, too. Okay, I found Angel's comment. I thought this was a really good one. And he says, 2024 Rams remind me of the 1992 Chargers. Both started bad. Everyone thought they were done. Both win division and the first round.
Well, Bobby Ross was the head of a Charger team. I think there was 0-4 out of the gate. It just takes time to build it. And he had a new quarterback, Stan Humphries. It takes time to build it. Sean McVay's got a world of success. And Sean McVay took a team that started with its hands tied behind it because of all the injuries. I mean, they had 6 offensive linemen on injured reserve to start the season. And Aaron Donald retired. They traded their inside linebacker, leading tackler. He went away. And they were force-feeding all their kids. But they got progressively better and better. And then they got healthy. And then they got all the linemen back. And then they got Cooper Kupp. And then they got Puka Nacua back. And now they're all healthy and they're playing pretty well and they've grown. McVay has done such a fabulous job being patient, growing them, and putting them on the field. And of course, they got a vibrant veteran guy who's experienced everything through good times and bad, and Matthew Stafford, who I happen to think, Angel, is a great citizen. Fans don't know that his wife wrote the checks. They just took the money out of their banking account to pay for all the fans' buses that bust all those fans from LA to Arizona who bought those last-minute tickets after the game was moved. Matthew Stafford and his wife paid for all the Greyhound buses that took, 35,000 fans.
Really?
To Phoenix for that playoff game. I mean, how cool is that man?
That's awesome. I mean, have you seen him on the Sleep Number
Sure.
TV ads with his wife? And so maybe they're just redirecting their earnings from that. But I think Angel makes a good point. That's a very fair comparison because that 92 Charger team started off so poorly. And then you made the comment, they're going to run the table. And they pretty much did at the end of that season. And that was when the Chargers were suddenly relevant again in the NFL.
Exactly. I think McVay is just amazing in terms of creative genius, getting players to rally, and the teaching the young players to be consistent, be productive, and be in the facility all the time. However, that being said, they must play the Eagles, the mean green Eagles, Philadelphia Eagles, where they boo Santa Claus. That's about as bloody a hostile environment as you can take a team into. But they got players, and they got a really good quarterback who's a good man.
Yeah, it's going to be a great divisional round, the best weekend in football. Okay, let's go over here. We'll talk to DJ Vic, and he says, wondering how many LA Charger fans met the team at their training facility after this loss. In San Diego, there would always be a crowd of fans welcoming the teams at Charger Park. I'm just curious if LA fans responded like we did. I doubt it, though.
I doubt it, too. Okay, that's a good point about the emotional support here. It takes us to this announcement. We're going to do something really different. A lot of fans don't know this. This is the week of the 30th anniversary of the biggest win in the history of San Diego Charger football. And Charger football goes back to the legendary AFL days of Lance Allworth and Kemp and Hadel and all that. And Charger football goes back to the Hall of Famer Dan Fouts and Eric Coryell and the unbelievable games you people had the enjoyment to watch. And Charger football was the end result of the Super Bowl run. We're doing something special. This is the 30th anniversary of the Charger victory in Pittsburgh. AFC Championship game against the Steelers at Three Rivers, which led them to take the terrible towel with them and go to play in the Super Bowl against the 49ers. So we're doing a Football Friday broadcast tomorrow. Anniversary remembrances of the Chargers Super Bowl season. John and I are going to walk down memory lane. We're going to post it. It's going to be on at 1 o'clock, Football Friday special. Then on Saturday at 1 o'clock, we're going to post a second Saturday special about the people and the places that made that season so really special. And then on Sunday at 1 o'clock, we're going to run a highlight film that I worked with on NFL Films about the greatest moment in San Diego Chargers history. These are special things that'll flash up. You'll get advance notice. So Football Friday, the Chargers stroll down memory lane, the greatest win of all time, why and how. Saturday, we'll talk about the people and the places that were involved in that greatest win of all time. And then Sunday, an NFL Films highlight that I worked on. So I want you to message everybody who's a Charger fan, NFL fan, and take some time because we'll put it up on the YouTube channel. We worked really hard on this. We've been waiting to save it and kind of lost in the memory. And I'm kind of mad at the media in this town because nobody's paid attention. Nobody paid attention on the 20th or 25th anniversary of the accomplishment. So we decided now on the 30th anniversary this weekend, 30 years ago, this weekend at Three Rivers Stadium, that was Bill Cowher, who had his chin jutted out after the Chargers eliminated the Pittsburgh Steelers from the playoffs. So we're going to salute Football Friday, Saturday special, and a Sunday look back honoring the 30th anniversary of the greatest win in Charger history. John Riley says,
well, just to tell the fans here, it's pre-recorded. It won't be a live stream where you can join us, but we will have them hit the YouTube channel. I'm going to try to do it as a premiere at 1 o'clock Friday, Saturday, and hopefully we can pull off the one on Sunday too. So yeah, check that out. I remember that was a great time in sports history when you came back with the team and filled up Qualcomm Stadium after that big win.
68,000 on that Sunday night in a rainstorm. It was electric, and the community response. I mean, we now have the understanding of Padre fan wrapping their arms around Padres baseball, Petco Park, how electric that's become. That's what Charger football was that one given season. So this is the 30th anniversary of the greatest moment in Charger history, and we're going to kind of celebrate that with Football Friday, a Saturday special, and then a Sunday look back.
And I kind of agree here with DJ. I don't know if the LA Charger fans are coming back to show the love. Are they? Maybe a few. Nothing like San Diego.
Tell me I didn't do this. Tell me I did not send the NFL Films documentary that I worked on, Chargers Road to the Super Bowl. Tell me I didn't send that to Dean Spanos. And I did. And my one sentence statement was, thought you'd enjoy seeing this. This was a special moment. You can take the team from us, but you can't take the memories from us. Hope you enjoy it. I emailed that to Dean Spanos.
You tell him, I hope the quarterback goes 17-0 and Spanos goes 0-17. That's usually your line. Okay, let's go. You're a little more Charger talk. And this is from Bob Adias. And he says, hey, they were only projected to win 6 games this season. So winning 11 and making the playoffs, I call it a success. What happened the last time is when you don't have any wide receivers or an interior O-line that can protect the quarterback, you're going to have problems. And we saw it. They can only get better from here.
I signed that memo, but it was really disappointing the way it ended. And the bashing on social media from the unsocial media faction on Justin Herbert, I think, is really unfair. Did he throw 4 picks? Yeah. Did he get blasted? Yeah. Did he have any time? No. Did he get any protection? No. Did he have any run game? No. Did his offensive lineman let him down? Damn straight they did. So they'll be better. They need another draft under Joe Ortiz. I said that back on opening day. But they've got to get better. And they were deficient towards the end of the season. And I hate to pull out the old word because the people say, oh, you're just being critical for the sake of being critical. Who the hell did you beat? The 7 games you lost, you got punched in the mouth. So you weren't good enough and you weren't tough enough, and the kid quarterback got hung out to dry trying to do it all by himself. So better days will come. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed this podcast.